evening. Welcome to the Vernon Hills Park District Board meeting of August 27th, 2015. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Robbins?
Here.
Commissioner Kessler?
Here.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Here.
Commissioner Moline? President Baloo?
Present. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First item on the agenda is the omnibus vote agenda. Items under the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and/or non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. If a separate vote on any one item is desired, it will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Items this evening are A, minutes of the regular board meeting of July 23rd, 2015. B, payables and payroll through August 27th, 2015 in the amount of $925,245.27. I have a motion to approve the omnibus agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Yes.
President Baloo?
Yes. Next up is our welcome to visitors and guests public comment period. We invite all those who want to address something on the agenda not up. If not, we will invite Eagle Scout Sean Barkowiak up to the podium to propose an idea for a park project.
Thank you. I just wanted to tell you who I was. I'm Sean Barkowiak from Palatine, Illinois, and I plan on doing an Eagle Scout project for you guys. I plan on building bat houses for your Century Park location, and yeah, it's basically that. I have a whole project that laid out. I just would need your guys' approval, and I have a whole plan of fundraising and everything else. So, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what else to
So,
say.
quick question. You said
Yeah.
you're from Palatine?
Yeah.
Why Vernon Hills?
So my family is actually good friends with Mr. Rick Croja. He is new to your board, I believe. Not board, staff. Yeah. We're good friends, and he had, when he first came here, he had a list of Eagle Scout projects left for him, and I talked to him about one of them. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that box is a great idea.
Thanks.
So, how many do you plan on putting in?
10.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. Any questions? Everybody? All right, everybody's in.
All right.
So we welcome you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for doing it. Okay. Next up are the financial reports for the period ending July 31st, 2015. Marla, any changes or additions to the reports?
You're good.
Okay, great. And reports and communications, staff reports on file. And let's see where we are. I have correspondence to read somewhere.
It's in your packet.
Which one?
You don't have it?
Sorry. Okay. I think it's on my computer, but it'll take too long to pick up.
What do you look for?
The correspondence. I think there's a letter. Mr. Garrett.
If you had your iPad with you.
If I have it here, and if I set it up, yes.
Maybe Commissioner Kessler can pass hers down.
Yes.
Good one, good.
It's right here. Here you go.
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you. Okay, received a letter from Garrett Self. It reads, "This note is a little tardy, but no less sincere. I wanted to thank the Vernon Hills Park District for all the above and beyond help during the weekend of July 17th to the 19th provided for the Vernon Hills Stingers organization. As you're likely aware, the Candidati Tourney is the biggest fundraiser of the year by far for our organization, and there's no way we remotely get close to playing all the games we did without massive support from the Park District to get fields in game shape. I help coach in the organization, and I received countless thank yous from parents and coaches from teams all weekend. The The visiting coaches were amazed at the field conditions and so thankful for all their girls who were able to finish the entire bracket. Vernon Hills looked very good to the greater Chicago softball community that weekend, and the Park District had a huge hand in making it so. Thanks for all your and the board do to support the Stingers all year. My very best, Garrett Self. All right, unfinished business, we don't have any. Right, Jeff? All right, then we will move on to new business and the annual affiliate review. I'll invite the affiliates organizations to provide their annual program updates in the following order. First up is Vernon Hills Soccer Club. Kevin Atkinson, is he here? No? All right, he gets skipped. Vernon Hills Stingers, Scott Commodore.
They're on their way.
They're on their way too. Okay. Vernon Hills Lady Cougars Feeder Basketball.
Rocco.
Rocco. So, welcome to the podium.
Pretty blue binders, I'm sure.
Yes, I do have blue binders. Want me to bring them up, or?
Yeah, I can help.
Go ahead.
Okay.
All yours.
I'm Rocco Pizzola with the Vernon Hills Lady Cougars Feeder Basketball Program. In front of you, you have our executive summary for our 2014-2015 season. If you flip to the first page, over there you'll see an overview of our organization, our board members, which includes Joe Bruntmeyer, who participates as an advisory board member. Our board meetings are held 3 to 4 times annually, usually at a Park District facility. Our season typically runs from September through March. We're members of the Northern Illinois Girls Feeder Basketball Association. We're one of about 36 feeder programs. Our tryouts are typically in September or October. Last year we had 60 participants. We had 5 teams, 51 kids or girls participated in our program, and 92% of those girls were from Vernon Hills. Our fees, $495, 6th to 8th grade, $395 for 5th grade. And just some other information here. I don't know if you want me to go through this line by line. Okay, you have it in front of you, so. Second page just talks a little bit about our upcoming season. And we actually just got our tryouts scheduled for October 5th, 7th, and 11th. We have a pre-trial parent meeting taking place at the Sullivan Center later on in September. And again, all the information that you have in front of you is generally our plan for the upcoming fiscal season, 2015 to 2016. If you flipped, any questions so far up to these 2 points, or to these 2 pages?
Trend in numbers, last couple of years, what do you expect this year?
Last year, we had 66 kids that participated. We expect about that same number this year. And our goal is to go with 2 teams at 5th grade and then 1 at 6th, 7th, and 8th. Next page, you'll see a copy of our 2014-15 cash flow report. And then the next few pages includes our Illinois Charitable Organization annual report, which was filed on August 22nd, along with our federal IRS tax return. Any questions, comments?
Bruce, I'm sorry. Yes, Bruce, go ahead.
First of all,
Yes.
I would have liked to see a balance sheet along with the cash flow reports, really, I'd like to see a statement of income and expenses. And what bothers me is now, I just got this thing, so I've
Sure.
been looking at it for 14 seconds. Your revenues per the cash flow does not agree with the tax return.
Right.
Your expenses for the cash flow does not agree with the tax return.
Correct. What you're, on the cash.
So what am I missing?
Go ahead. On the cash flow statement captures our income and our expenses during our fiscal year. That's what that captures.
Well, so does the tax return.
Well, what the tax return is capturing there is our assets, which is basically our cash on hand. So it's a forward balance from the previous season.
No, you're not, that's not correct at all.
Bruce?
Huh?
I assume they had an accountant put this together somehow.
You have somebody do your taxes?
Yes, it's listed on the first page.
Okay,
All right, well,
all right, well,
we can look into that and see whatever. So,
I can stick around later after the meeting if you have any other questions or
probably
comments.
be-
But I will provide you with a balance sheet, though.
okay.
yeah, I'd like to see it.
I will.
That'd be great. Any other news tidbits, anything new, anything upcoming?
Nope,
Nothing?
nothing, just, we're pretty much status quo. Our season's starting in a few weeks with tryouts, but
Tryouts are again when?
October 5th, 7th, and 11th at Vernon Hills High School.
Great, thank you, sir.
All
You're
right.
welcome, thank you.
Okay. Stingers are here? Okay, so let's go back to Vernon Hills Stingers softball. Scott Commodore, please.
Rick White.
All right, sorry, I just go with the name we got in front of me.
Good evening. Rick Weingart from the Vernon Hills Stingers. I'm the treasurer. I've been with the Stingers for about 16 years. We just completed our 2015 season. We had 9 teams, about 108 girls, 2 more than we had the previous season. We're just finishing our tryouts for the 2016 season. And again, we'll have 9 teams, about 112 girls. So we're very healthy at this time as a softball organization. And again, our direction, our goal here is to take girls, develop them into softball players so that they can be one, they can make their high school team, and 2, they can be a major contributor on their high school team. We have an 8-member board. Dave Dorhofer is one of our board members. We meet monthly, and we consider ourselves one of the cheaper organizations in the area. We charge $650 a year for our 10 and 12U players, and $750 a year for our 14 through 18U players. Just as I said, we just completed our 2015 season, and we rely heavily on fundraisers. We have about 3 or 4 fundraisers. Our major one is our tournament in July. We had 80 teams this year come into Vernon Hills, most we've had in about 5 years, and had a very good tournament. Made about $20,000, which is about 20% of our operating budget. So that's a big thing for us, and we rely very, very heavily on that. Other than our program fees, that is one of the biggest sources of income that we have. I've given you a packet shows where our fundraisers come from, our fundraising money. Our 501c3, we got that this past spring. That was approved. I've given you our 2014 tax return, our 2014 income statement that is the basis for the tax return, and our 2015 income statement as of the end of August. Any
Questions? No? Dave?
None? Pretty up to speed.
I figured you might be. Bruce?
No.
Just one quick question, and how is I guess I want to say, the enthusiasm for girls in signing up for softball?
You know, as I said, I've been with it for 16 years, and this is about the biggest we've been, but, you know, our competition is lacrosse. Our competition is soccer. And so, you know, so we do our best to get girls here. You know, we get a good amount early in the age, you know, 10U, 12U, and then we start to lose them, some in high school. When I was coaching, we would have girls entering their senior year of high school play with us, finishing their senior year of high school play with us, even though they weren't playing in college, and they don't do that anymore. Now they finish their junior year of high school and they are done with the Stingers. They're done with travel softball. So that's something I wish we could change, but you know, we're doing our best on that. We have, you know, as I said, we have 9 teams, 2 at 10U, 2 at 12U, and 3 at 14U. So 7 teams in that 10 to 14U age group. So wish we had more at the older ages.
Do you do any kind of survey of your people who, the athletes or the parents, on what they think of the program, or any changes, or anything like that?
Yeah, we have a survey that we send out annually. I don't know if we send it out this year, but we we have done a survey in the past to all of our parents to find out what we can do better. You know, any suggestions we can get how their season went. You know, you know, when I coached, it was getting everybody involved, getting all the girls to play equal as much as we could, because especially at the younger ages, we're trying to develop these girls into better players so that when they get to high school, you know, they're going to be good players. When the team that I coached, just so happened that we had girls, about 8 girls or 7 girls from Vernon Hills High School. We had some Carmel girls, a couple of Zurich girls. And all those girls, when they played with the Stingers, those high schools were probably at their best, had their best years ever. So, and that makes you feel good about what you're doing. But yeah, we try to get as much input as we can from parents, and try to improve our organization every year if we can.
Yeah, Cindy, yeah. Yes, a survey is sent out. No, was not sent out this year because the person who sends it out didn't get a chance to get it out. So that's
I
actually
guess it
my
was just,
responsibility.
is there any trends, yell at
Yeah.
David, but was there any trends or anything that you're trying to address, or changes or anything like that within the program?
You know, we get a lot of criticism sometimes about dads being coaches, and we're trying to improve that. So, you know, we do get some. We're getting more help from the outside. We just completed our tryouts, and instead of having dads do the evaluation, we had all outside people who had no affiliation with the Stingers do the evaluation, and I think it worked out very well. You know, we're trying to do more of that, just trying to upgrade our organization as best we can.
Great, thank you.
I think we're one of the biggest in the area right now. So.
Okay, great, thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Okay, now we'll go back to Kevin Atkinson of the Vernon Hills Soccer Club.
How about that? Good timing. Sorry for being a little bit late. I just walked in. Hi, I'm Kevin Atkinson. I'm president of the Vernon Hills Soccer Club. Thank you for taking the time to listen a little bit to us today. First off, I did send a balance sheet, Jeff, to you. I don't know if you distributed that. We are in the middle of our audit, so when that comes through, we'll deliver all that paperwork when we get it. In the meantime, the balance sheet is the best I can do. I'm going to give you a little bit of overview of where we're at with the club, and then you open it up for questions. So this year, we had about 400 registrants for rec in this season. That's up slightly, so we continue to sort of tick upward a little bit in rec. I keep thinking that we've hit our ceiling in terms of total number of kids that we could get, but it keeps ticking up a little bit. We always have a little bit less in the spring season, so I anticipate having about 800 families total, individual registrations between the two seasons, with some overlap there, registered in rec soccer. That goes from pre-K right now up to, I think, 3rd, 4th grade. We don't have as many kids at the older levels on rec because we've been building from the bottom up there. A lot of kids roll off into play travel, play other sports, and that's sort of building as we go. The intention is to have rec teams all the way up through 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade when we have that many kids. So that's the rec league. On the travel side, we have 19 teams this year, which again is more than we had in previous years. So we continue to see some growth on the travel side as well. That's ranging, we have 9 on both sides, boys and girls, ranging in age between U8, and on the boys' side, I think the oldest team is U14, and U8 to U16 on the girls' side. So we have at least one team at every age. I believe that's correct. At least one team at every age, U8 through U14, and then a couple extra ones on the girls' side, on the U15 side, U15 and 16. So that's about 220 kids, which again is an increase in the total number of kids in the program. So those are positive numbers for us. Logistically, we've been reaching out to work more and more with the high school. So we've been doing the senior night for both the boys and the girls on that side and maintaining good relationships as best we can with the high school. We actually ran our summer camp through the high school coach, Mike McCall. So we'll continue to do what we can to foster relationship with the high school as well as foster relationship with the Park District, as we have been doing, running all registration on the rec side and for our academy programs, and also for the summer camps through the Park District. Let's see, we've had a successful kickoff to our fall season on the soccer side. We already ran a couple of tournaments that our teams have been in, and we're getting ready to kick off into our fall season 3 weekends from now. Games will start and we'll actually start to play. So it's an 8-game season with a couple of tournaments spattered in. And that includes our own tournament, which one of my goals has been to establish in our inaugural Vernon Hills Cougars tournament here in the town. We actually have established that. It's going to be September the 18th to the 18th to the 20th up at VHAC. And we're expecting about 120 to 120 teams, which is really good for a very first tournament. Put that in a little bit of perspective, I've brought over one of the directors from the Grove tournament, which 10 years ago started with 90 teams, and now last year had about 670 teams. So these things can grow up and be pretty interesting. What's good about that, I think, is that team in those types of tournaments can pull a lot of teams from other states, certainly outside, far enough away where they'll come in and stay in hotels for the weekends. So it's been part of my sort of strategic plan to get that tournament established so that we can have a long-term, ongoing event that further establishes the club, and also does something for the community and the organization. So, other than that, I think those are the main things that I wanted to go over. We do have a couple of new coaches on the travel side. We do have paid coaches on the travel side. The only coaches that do coach that aren't paid are myself, Peter Kempf, and Andrew Reback, and that's because we're the 3 board members and we don't pay ourselves. So every other coach is a professionally paid coach. So, any questions?
You pay the rec coaches?
The rec coaches don't get paid. That's rec is volunteer. It's parents. The fundamental difference between rec and travel is rec is intended to be recreational. It's fun, right? It's not meant to be competitive. The kids will go out there and compete, but this isn't, go build a team and win. It's go take a team and have fun.
Of the 620 kids you've got in the program, are they all Vernon Hills residents?
On the rec side, it's exclusively Vernon Hills. There might be 1 or 2 that come from outside, but I'd have to look at that, but I think it's almost exclusively. On the travel side, of the 120 kids on the travel side, maybe 15 are from surrounding towns. Everybody else is from Vernon Hills. Yeah, it's the vast majority is from here in Vernon Hills.
Bruce?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Is your fiscal year end May 31st?
I believe so. Is that what it was? I don't have it in front of me.
Well, you gave us a balance sheet as of June 1st.
No, I'm a little behind on the balance sheet. The fiscal year, I have to look and see when the fiscal year ends. We're running through our audit right now.
Okay, what is the period, this balance sheet as of June 1st, what does that period cover?
That's everything leading up to the current season. So probably what's not included in that are the payments for the tournaments that we've just put our kids through, the payments to the league, but also some of the incoming payments from the registrations. I can get you a more up-to-date balance sheet if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, probably
sure.
a balance sheet, profit and loss and a tax return, a 990.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So we are going,
Okay.
like I said, we're going through our audit, and when I get all that detailed information,
Okay.
you'll be the first to get it. But in the meantime, I'll get you a more up-to-date balance sheet.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Questions? Sydney?
No.
Okay, great, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Next up is Bill Paulson with the Vernon Hills Community Baseball and Softball Program.
Thanks for the opportunity. So again, Bill Paulson, president of the VHCBS. I'm assuming you guys got a copy that we distributed, handout? Great. So obviously, this is our first year of doing this. So we haven't had to do a tax return yet. We will do one at the end of the year and obviously go through the audit procedures and whatnot. Just to kind of highlight a couple of things. Our board members consist of Brian Mahler, who is the vice president and commissioner for travel baseball. Pete Bamer, who is our treasurer, who's here tonight actually with us. Carrie Getlin, who serves as commissioner of community baseball, who's also here with us. Bob Pieper, who is one of our parent representatives. And myself, who is filling in temporarily until we find somebody to step up for the community softball organization. So I wear two hats for the organization at this point in time. I'd like to say for our first year, I think we had a really successful season. We had about just under 450 kids participate in our rec program, and about 115 or so participate in our travel baseball program. On the baseball side for baseball and softball, the numbers were slightly higher than what we actually forecasted what we would get. As you all know, we were going through a year of transition from the old entity to ours, and we anticipated some fallout in terms of kids maybe not coming out to the organization. We'd like to think that we provided a great experience for them this past year, and we hope to see our numbers increase for next year. On the first slide that we gave you the actual current balance as of August 10th, right now. So from a registration perspective, you saw what we pulled in, a little over $200,000. On the expense side, we're about $186,000, and we're forecasting a surplus of about $17,000. Couple things to highlight there. The Stingers talked about it. We do fundraising. We run 4 baseball tournaments on the travel side. They are very successful for us. We get a lot of communities around the area to come and participate in our activities, and it also we use that to kind of offset our fees. As you see in here, you'll notice that both the travel and the baseball, the community baseball and softball ran a slight deficit to what we originally had budgeted. But the fees we got from our tournaments more than made up for those slight deficits that we ran. And so we'll look at that as we start to price our programs for next year. We're aiming to try to keep them flat if at all possible, which would actually be 3 or 4 years in a row of actually flat fees as it pertains to that. And we've done a little competitive study around the area. We actually offer some of the cheapest programming around in the other surrounding areas like Libertyville, Mundelein, Lake Forest, et cetera. On the travel side, we just conducted our tryouts for next year. The good news is we're actually looking like we're going to be up one more team than we were from last year. Last year we had 11. This year we're going to have, last year we had 10. This year we're going to have 11. The final roster decisions are actually in the midst of being worked out right now, and they'll be finalized here by Sunday or so, and so we'll be making the phone calls to the folks. Other than that, that's pretty much what I want to cover. I don't know if you guys had any questions for us.
I have a question. So it looks like on the consolidated financials, you basically have received all of your income for the year?
That's correct.
Okay. And you have, you're estimating another about $25,000 of expenses for the rest of the year? You're showing 161,000 actual through August 10th,
Yes.
year-end?
That's correct.
186.
That's correct. And so the major expenses that are going to come in, we actually just got it. We just got the light bill. We actually budgeted about $12,000 for the light bill that we paid to the village. It came in at about $9,600, so we're a little under there. The other major expense we have left is the rent at the facility that we have. So we have an indoor facility that we have our travel program go in and practice in, and so we've got rent and utilities for the remainder of the year. Those are the 2 biggest line items that are left.
So basically, for 4 to 5 months of the year, you really collect no revenues at all, is that correct?
Well, correct. Although we start to take some of the travel payments. We have a travel tryout. We charged a fee that basically covered our costs for the T-shirts, volunteer time in terms of providing them food and signage that we put out for the tryouts. So that's about a break even. We will start to collect some of the fees possibly this year. We're still debating that, but we usually take a half of the payment for travel sometime in the October, November timeframe, which actually
But
is
that
not
would be for
reflected
the
here.
next, for 2016?
That's
So
correct.
That would just be showed as deferred?
Exactly right.
All right, thank you.
I'm good. I actually sat in on their meetings, and this probably applies to everyone, that how much I appreciate the work that goes into what you're doing, and just hearing your conversations of the board members of how to improve it, what to do, the pros and cons, how it affects the children. I just think you've had a great dialogue that I've had a privilege to be part of, and thank you and everyone else for what you guys have been doing.
If I could just put one more last plug in, I'll say it because you brought it up, Cindy. You asked the question earlier about, do we run a survey? We ran a survey. It's actually in the midst of still being open. It's going to be open for another little less than a week. Participation rates have picked up recently. We've got about 40% of the travel parents have returned our surveys. It's up to about 25%, which is double from where it was a week ago. We focused on 3 things for the organization this year: communication, scheduling, and transparency. And we asked questions specifically around that, not so much around transparency. We think that this is a means to do that, as well as our board meeting. But on the scores for communication, we're scoring on a 4-point scale. We're scoring anywhere from a 3.25 to a 3.5. So parents were very happy in terms of the communication we did, and we fixed a lot of the scheduling that I know on the community baseball and softball side that there were some issues with. So far, they've been quite pleased with what we've done so far. So survey's still not finalized yet, but so far it's been promising in terms of what we've heard back, so.
Great.
I just have one comment, and that's congratulations.
Thanks.
It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort to turn the Titanic around. And I don't mean that in a metaphorical statement, but when you get a program going in a direction, to try to change the direction of that program, whatever way you turn it, is a monumental task.
Well-
You guys have done a phenomenal job in a very short period of time.
Well, I appreciate the board has been completely engaged, and some of the guys are here tonight and others, so the parents really helped out in terms of making it work, so appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, and last is the Vernon Hills Sports Club. Jeff Wilgus.
Okay, good evening. My name is Jeff Wilgus, Vernon Hills resident, and save the best for last. So we also, as an offshoot of the old Vernon Hills Cougars Youth Athletic Association, are brand new, and I guess we presented roughly 6 months ago, starting our organization. The prior organization kind of finished off travel basketball, which was operational at that time. And so for all intents and purposes, our programming started right around April 1st with lacrosse. So we've run an entire lacrosse season, right? The last 6 months, we've formed our board, we've done our bylaws, budgets, all our filings, right? And we've got all our paperwork filed, and I think the only thing we're waiting on is our tax exempt letter from the IRS, which means we're currently paying sales tax when we shouldn't be, and we're keeping track of that, and our vendors assure us that they'll reimburse it once we get our letter. So, so anyway, it's been a fun process. Our board, we cover multiple sports. So I'm the president. President Ballou sits on our board as a non-voting advisory member. Bill Paulison sits on our board as a non-voting advisory member, and I sit on his board so that we can keep in touch with what each other are doing. But Vince Tran is our vice president and commissioner of lacrosse. Jamie Morris is our commissioner of basketball. George Saris is commissioner of football. And Tina Wickman is our commissioner of our newly added POMS group that we just started since we formed, so we're really happy for that. none of them are here tonight with me. I'm alone because in the fall, as you'll see in the second column, we've got everything going on, right? So we're really busy right now with tackle football, flag football, and POMS, and lacrosse is getting ready to start up for fall as well. So we're really busy right now. So anyway, we finished our spring lacrosse season, very successful season from a number of fronts. We hit on our numbers. We had 4 teams. This was the first year that we capped our teams' numbers, right? So that we didn't get the complaints about having 28, 30 kids on a team that really is optimal in the 18 to 20 range or whatever. So I think we took 1 extra kid than we were planning. And the good news is that 40-plus games we played all season, including our tournament. We lost 2 games all season, had 3 champions in our league, and our U9 team lost in the league championship for their 2nd loss of the season. So anyway, it was a great season. Lacrosse is our most healthy sport right now. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm about it, and our numbers are really good there. Fall, we have both tackle and flag. Our numbers are down. They've been down for years, but they are within our expectations, right? So I think about 60 kids playing tackle, and we forecasted right around that many, right? So I think we're down a little bit. Flag, I think, is a little bit lower than it was last year, but still pretty healthy. And POMS is brand new. So we have a JV and a varsity team, and they're both fully going. Our excuse me, our lacrosse for fall registration hasn't closed yet, but we expect it to be full. So anyway, second page is the money. So a couple things I want to say, right? Like I said, we've only been operational since April. So, and we don't have year over year and a lot of those types of things that we may do next year. But what I want to focus on is our budget, right? So our estimated total income of $127,000 against expenses, right? But if you look at the chart below under estimated, you can see that we're basically trying to keep it as even as possible, and we, in this fiscal year, 2015 and 16, we have no fundraisers. So everything we collect is what we're going to spend, and that's all we got. Now, we're planning for next year to hold a lacrosse tournament and also host a home basketball tournament at the high school, which will save us money on not going away to a tournament, and then also perhaps make us a little money on the tournament itself. But so that's for next year's budget. But this year we run on what we collect, and that's what we're doing, right? If you look at our actuals, they look pretty good. But that's because we've collected a lot of money for our fall sports, and the expenses are now starting to come in, right? So that number is going to start to spike really soon. But I think more importantly, the next page, I'll show you how we're measuring ourselves on our first full season that we did close. So our lacrosse performance is on page 4, right? So we budgeted about a little over 20,000 in net registration. We came in around 21,000 in net registration. We budgeted about 18,000 in total expenses. We actually spent about 26, but we also collected about $7,000 extra in unbudgeted for some training fees and for some tournaments, right, that were not really part of it. So if you look at the subtotal under the budgeted, we budgeted 18.6 in expenses and had around 19, right? So all in all, for the season, we are about 2,700 to the good for our first fully closed season, and so that is pretty successful, at least I think in my eyes. All right, so finally, the final page, shows the income and expenses for all the sports as they will age over the year. And you'll see some expenses, already starting to accrue in football and in flag and POMs and, and obviously lacrosse. Now, lacrosse is still showing that we're about $6,000 to the good, but that's because we haven't paid our light bill yet. They haven't paid their portion of the insurance and some administration that goes there. And so, that number is going to come down since their expenses are actually annualized over the full 12 months. And so the money that's in their bucket is still about $4,000 higher than what it will be or what I portrayed on the annualized view on the previous page. So, we had some good news the other day. The light bill came in, as Bill said, and we had budgeted about $900 for lights out at the JV and varsity football fields for lacrosse. And we were really stingy on our use of the lights out there this year, and we also moved over to Deer Path very quickly because we like that field, and we have 2 fields over there. So our light utilization this year, as an example, instead of $900, we only spent $135 on lights. So, we're going to come out about $700 ahead on lights. So, anyway, that's about all I've got to say. I mean, we've provided you guys with our budget. We're being very close to the books on our expenses because, like I said, we don't have any fundraising. We don't have any tournaments yet or any longer since we're no longer under the umbrella where that exists, and we'll be looking to add that next year. So, any questions?
A couple questions.
Sure.
So before December 31st, or before January 1st, 2015, you were a for-profit organization?
No.
You've always been not-for-profit?
Our organization, the Vernon Hills Sports Club, has always been non-for-profit.
Okay, I'm a little confused because you said that you haven't been approved yet for not-for-profit status.
No, we've filed as non-for-profit, but you need a separate letter from the IRS that says you're tax exempt. And by tax exempt, meaning for sales tax and things like that. So when we buy uniforms, we don't have to pay our sales tax. And so as a new organization, which has only been formed in early 2015, we're waiting for that paperwork to be completed by the IRS.
Because legally, you can't do any fundraising until you get that not-for-profit approval by the
We
IRS.
are fully approved, non-for-profit for the state of Illinois right? The tax exempt letter is only whether or not we're allowed to avoid sales tax. That's its only purpose.
So you have been approved as a not-for-profit?
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
see.
That's how we're filed, and that's how we are with the IRS. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Jeff, I got a question for you, but actually I forgot to ask this question to everybody, so just shout out and answer. For the travel programs, how many, Vernon, you mentioned you took some kids, and you took one more than you expected. 77 kids you took. How many kids we cut?
Cut?
Yeah.
0.
Okay. Soccer, how many Vernon Hills kids we cut from travel programs?
There are cuts on the travel side.
No, there's going to be. I'm just trying to understand the magnitude of what they are.
I would have to add it up. I'd have to look at the actual numbers. There's probably, at every age group, a handful. We have 2 teams. We made a decision not to have a 3-team system because that fundamentally just takes all the kids who wouldn't have made it and makes a team. And that has its own set of issues. So we made that decision a year or so ago not to do that. So I would say probably in total it's less than 20, I would guess. But I'd have to look at the numbers.
Rocco?
Across all 4 grade levels, I'm going to say about maybe 12 kids.
Rick?
We probably just did our teams. We probably cut 2 or 3 kids, one Vernon Hills, I think.
We'll cut, so we don't get the right number, we'll cut about 20 to 22, but 10 of that's gonna be because we don't have enough for one team.
Yeah, I will add that, travel as it relates to lacrosse, we don't do tryouts, right? So it's really almost first come, first serve until the team's full. So that's the reason why there's no cuts there. our cut sport would be basketball, right? So that's the feeder league for basketball. We're getting ready to do our tryouts. Jamie's initial analysis of the upcoming season, and we just released our communication on tryouts today, actually, is that we're going to have an extra fourth grade team and an extra fifth grade team this year. And so I imagine that, you know, just like all the rest where the sports where the kids are really trying out for the team, basketball is our only version of that flavor of team fulfillment. So I'm sure we have some cuts there, right? But perhaps different from the other sports, since our basketball is truly feeder, all of the kids are Vernon Hills. Yeah, so they have to go to Vernon Hills High School or they can't play for us. So, yeah.
They're all high school
Right.
related.
Just so you guys know for our, right, we have a rule, 75% of a team has to be made up of Vernon Hills residents.
Of every team?
Yes, unless we can form another team by taking, right, say there's 6 Vernon Hills kids and there's 6 other, we can make another team, we would make that exception.
I have just one for me, because I'm on the board, but
Yeah.
I always ask you anyway, is because I know we're doing great with the boys lacrosse. Any news on girls lacrosse?
You know, I get asked that all the time, and you know, I'd love to add as many girls' sports as I think we could, and you know, the Stingers and some others have done a great job, and I think they'll attest to the situation of regional play for the girls. For lacrosse, that would really be our issue. How do we attract girls away from the current programming that's already available at both rec and travel, and start our own team, and then what league would we play in? And as it is today, I think Libertyville and Vernon Hills and Round Lake and Lake Zurich girls play together, and like Lake Forest, and you know, they kind of all play together. So it's my understanding is that the number of girls at the rec level for lacrosse, we probably couldn't field a number of teams just from Vernon Hills, like in the way that we do with the boys, right? You know, it would be, I would be more than happy to send out a survey and see what we could do, but my guess is, based on my knowledge of kind of what's going on in Lake County, is that we'd be hard pressed to put together a team. Yeah.
Does that mean you don't have any girls lacrosse team right now? No?
We do not have girls
You don't have
lacrosse.
girls in
We have a couple girls that played on our boys teams.
Okay. then
And we don't turn them away if they want to play, and there's no rule that says they can't play.
How many?
I think we had 2 last season. Yeah.
The $1 million question, $64 million question, whatever. How do you stem the tide with football? I mean, it's hurt all the way up to the high school. High school's got 2 teams this year.
Yeah,
How do
you
you
know,
turn
it's so funny. I mean, I truly don't know, right? Because so much of it is community perception, and you know, in my view, the game is the same as it was, and perhaps even safer than certainly when we played, or even when our kids played. But for whatever reason, they're just not coming out, right? And we have 3 very healthy teams this season, and they're all staffed, you know. They're all populated with between 18 and 22 boys, and so that's a good number for those teams. But at the lower level, at the Bantams, we had to refund all of our registrations because we only got 8 kids to come out, and there wasn't anything we could do, right? And we don't want them to play up because they'll get hurt, so.
How are the flag football numbers?
I don't have the exact numbers. I think we're down a little bit from last season. Last season, we had 107 kids in flag, and that's been a very successful program for us. What we find is the boys that want to play football but perhaps are on Kevin's soccer teams and things like that, then they play flag instead of tackle. What we hope is that some of those boys, you know, as they get maybe 4th, 5th grade, choose to put strap a helmet on. We haven't seen a lot of that, you know. Soccer
Rears its ugly head again, isn't it?
I'm not saying anything, right? We're all in the same community,
It's like
and we
the
play
rest that won't
sports,
go
right?
away.
So, but I'd love to see more kids out. I mean, listen, when you know, I don't have any more kids in the program. My daughter just graduated from college. My son's a sophomore in college. And when he played in the Cougars, we had 300 and some odd kids in the program. There were 3 teams at each grade level, and it was like the heyday of football in this town. And I coached during those times, and I think many people did. And it's sad to a large extent because, you know, the game is the same. It hasn't changed really. So, you know, anyway, I don't know what to do.
All right, any other questions?
One other question. So the equipment, what, for football, are you planning on, is it helmets or is there anything designated for the equipment, budgeted for?
Oh, sure, yeah, I mean, that's in our budget that we provided for you, and we have a helmet purchase program that we do where the families, you know, it used to be that we supplied 100% of the helmets, right? That's a no-win situation, right? So now we buy about 10% of the helmets and provide them to the hardship families, and then we have a helmet purchase program where we pay for about 1/3 of the helmet and the families pay for 2/3 of the helmet. And so it's part of the way the fees work and all that kind of stuff. So, but we buy the shoulder pads, we buy the, you know, the pants and the jerseys and all that, and that's funded through the fees. Yeah.
Jeff, I think you bring up a good point, and I think probably most, if not all, the organizations do this. All the organizations basically have a supplemental set of money to help kids that can't participate and pay for the full program. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, yeah, yeah, we budgeted 10%. We budgeted 10%.
You know, if you're out there and your child wants to participate, but you can't afford to be in the program, please reach out to any of these organizations because there is money available, there's money set aside, just like there is in the Park District for our camps and our programs. We want kids in this town to play, and we never want any money to become a hindrance to that. So please, if your child wants to participate, don't let money stop you. Reach out to each organization, and they'll be happy to help you get set up in any way they can so that your child can participate. That's a great point, Jeff. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Great, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
And as a final note, I'd like to thank all the gentlemen that came up here tonight because it's a lot of work for what they do. They put in a lot of time and effort to run these organizations, and it's more work than you can imagine. And for them to dedicate their time, and they're always looking for help, volunteers, people that could help them with the organization. So any help would be much appreciated to all of them. So thanks again, guys. Okay, next up is the Sullivan Community Center Future Improvement Community Forum. At this time, I'd like to invite any guests present to the podium for comments on the proposed Sullivan Community Center future improvements. Seeing no great rush to the podium, we'll move on.
You know, Jim, I think maybe just for the sake of at least addressing some of the improvements, what we've been looking at. I don't know if you want me to share it or you want to.
Feel free.
Okay, so the district has hired an architectural firm we've been working with for the past 6 months, Williams Architects, and we are certainly interested in feedback from the community on our future plans. You can go to our website at bhparkdistrict.org, and there's plans on the site. Cheryl is going to also reach out to members on our constant contact, and we'll get information out to all of them with feedback. We'll be taking this through the end of September, and then as we get into the October months, the park board will be addressing the plans to move forward. But basically, we're looking at moving our administrative team out of the Lashen Center. We're looking at creating an additional gymnasium at the Sullivan Center. We're also looking at changing out the entry point of the Sullivan Center to make it more conducive from a security standpoint, from just a control standpoint within the building. Also looking at doing a improvement to our preschool program that exists within the building. So just trying to make the flow, in essence, a little bit more accessible for our patrons. But obviously, we're, the gymnasium is a big component to that. So please reach out, take a few minutes, look at our website plans, and we'll continue to accept feedback from the community for at least another 45 to 60 days.
Thank you. All right, next up is the Grosse Pointe and Peterson Park Playground Award. I need a motion to award a contract to New Toys Leisure Products for the construction and replacement of the Grosse Pointe Park playground equipment not to exceed $80,000.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
President Baloo?
Yes. Next, I need a motion to award a contract to Cunningham Recreation for the construction and replacement of Peterson Park playground equipment not to exceed $75,000.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
President Baloo?
Yes. And then next is the 950 Lakeview Parkway demolition contract award. Need a motion to award a contract to Tanzillo Contractors of Wheeling, base bid of $68,000 for the demolition of 950 Lakeview Parkway.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Yes.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
President Baloo?
Yes. Next is the general use conduct ordinance. Just making an announcement, there are no changes to the general use conduct ordinance for 2015. The next up is the SRA CLC accessibility resolution. I need a motion to approve the SRA CLC accessibility resolution 4-15.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Yes.
President Baloo?
Yes. And finally, I need a motion to approve the W.W. Granger invoices in the amount of $2,542.93.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Abstain.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
President Baloo?
Yes. Finally, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Meline, anything?
Nope, thank you.
Commissioner Robbins?
No.
Mr. Kessler?
Just thanking again all the associations that came out and how much I appreciate all their hard work.
Send you guys a summary of Ribfest this afternoon, too.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Yeah, two things. Just one, again, reiterate, Commissioner Kessler, thank you to all for not only coming tonight, the transparency that's associated with it, and all the efforts you do for the kids in the community. And then special thank you to the staff for Ribfest. Biggest Ribfest we ever had. Superb job. Great job on the weather. Tom, if that was you, you did the weather perfectly this year.
That's Tom Skilling, not Tom Ritter.
Oh, I get it confused. So, guys, thank you very much. Phenomenal job.
And finally, I just reiterate the same thing on Ribfest. It's outstanding. It's a great event. Heard lots of great comments from the public. Everyone seemed to enjoy it and have a good time. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Roll call.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorhofer?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
President Baloo?
Yes, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.